Hello and welcome. In this emulation video, I'm going to show you how to set up AestherSX2. I think I've pronounced that correctly. AestherSX2, okay. It's a PS2 emulator that works really well on Android. I'm using a Galaxy Fold 3, so it's a pretty powerful device. If you have a lower end device, it may be questionable, the performance that you get out of it. But overall, it works fantastic. And okay, so to set it up, it's really simple. Just go to your Google Play Store. Search for AestherSX2 and just download this from TalRef. I'll provide a link to this particular one in the description so you aren't downloading some fake one that's giving you some virus, for example. Click install. Does not take long. It is pretty, small, 6.44 meg to be exact. And let's just let that, do its thing. Okay, before we launch this, what we now need is a PS2 BIOS. Actually, before we even do that, we are going to install, you can install another archiving tool. Z-Archiver is the current one that I use. I love it. It works. It works pretty much with any format that I've thrown at it, and it just works well. So I recommend installing this. This will just make your life easier. But if you want to use some other file manager and archiving tool, feel free to. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is launch up my web browser, and I'm going to search for PS2 BIOS and go on to this website here. I'll provide a link to this in the description. Go down, click download, I'm just going to click X on this ad and it'll download. I just want to say this video is not condoning piracy and it is for educational purposes only. I own a PS2. I own the game that I'm going to try, which is Crash Nitro Kart. Love that game. And I've already got it, so I'll click download again. Not that it really matters. Okie dokie, so now that we've got that, and I've got a game as well, so if you just go to Z-Archiver, go to download, and it appears right here, PS2 BIOS, so I could extract the new one. Click that, click extract with the three dots, that one there, click it, and now it'll want you to choose where you're going to extract it to. I'm going to go back, I'm going to go to games, which is the folder I created, go to BIOS, and these are PS2 BIOSes that I already extracted. But if I click this green button in the bottom right, and now I'll apply to all files, replace, boom, done, there we go. I've got a PS2 game as well in ISO format, so make sure you have that. If you want more information on how to rip your games and get hold of games, feel free to join the Discord group. There's plenty of information there. And now that we've got that, let's open up AestherSX2. It'll just take you through some setup. Click next and just have a look at this. I really recommend that you read how to improve performance, and I took a screenshot of this so I can refer to this later, because this really does help. Depending on what game you're playing, it may or may not run very well. Click next, and I recommend optimal safe defaults. You can choose the aspect ratio. I'm just going to stick with 4:3, which was the original aspect ratio. Click next again, import BIOS, so click that. This opens up just the built-in phone explorer. That doesn't matter, so just navigate to your phone's main directory and go to where you extracted it. For me it was games, BIOS, and I'm going to choose the SCPH70004, which is the Europe one. Select that, click next, and now my game directory. Click plus, and I know for me it is in games, PS2, use this folder, allow, and you can add multiple game directories, which is pretty darn cool. Click next, finish, and that's it. We are all good to go. You can bind a controller as well, so if you have like a game controller connected, you can use that. Feel free to use it. And you can play a game now, or if you click the burger button in the top left, you can go to app settings, and from here there's a bunch of features like enable frame limit. I recommend that you leave that. And in system, these sort of settings you can tweak based on what game you're playing. Some of them you may need to tweak here and there. Leave enable fast mem, and I'll say play the game first. If it works well, try up in the upscale multiplier. I know without recording I can do crash nitro call all the way to 6 times native on this phone of mine, whereas some games I might not be able to. And with the GPU renderer, you're gonna either want OpenGL or Vulkan software. They'll be doing it on the CPU. You do not want that at all, or like, nah, you just don't want that. So try OpenGL if that works great. Try Vulkan if that works, and just compare the performance. And there's a bunch of settings like mip mapping, trilinear filtering and isotropic filtering. And again, I always recommend that you get it working first smoothly, and then increase the settings and enable different settings. Like host vsync are not a bad thing to enable from the start. You can show the video frames per second, the speed, the resolution, so you can show all of that. But I know it works well, so I'm not going to show any of that. And there's some settings for audio, nothing major. You can create a memory card as well. So if I click create memory card, I can choose the size. So it says if I go 8 meg, supported by all games and BIOS versions. 16 meg, typical size for third-party memory cards, good compatibility. 32 meg, same thing. 64 meg, large but incompatible with many games. So recommend just doing 8 meg. Memory card name, I'm going to call it memcard1. Create, and there we go. And so card is enabled, card name, select it, boom, there we go. We could create another memory card as well if we wanted to. The game list is here, the BIOS is also right here. We could import another BIOS, and in advance there's some more advanced settings on how the compilation and how the CPU sort of will be emulated, and upscaling hacks as well. But again, this is really advanced stuff, and I mainly recommend that you leave stuff as default. Maybe tweak a few things here, but that is generally it. Click back. Now let's play. So if I click play, actually before we do that, click the burger button, go to controller settings. Here we can actually map our controls. If I go to port 1, I can map them very easily. So controller type, do automatic mapping, clear the bindings. And right now it's just going to have touchscreen control, so they're not bound. But I could press it and trigger something like if I have a keyboard connected wirelessly, or a controller that has Bluetooth connected. And I might create videos on how to connect your controllers as well. Let me know if you would like that. And there's a bunch of hotkeys, and including loading and save states. And for the touchscreen, you can do single analog mode, dual analog mode, and digital pad. For this game, single analog mode will suffice. And you can do the touchscreen controller port, so which port is being used by touchscreen. Maybe you're using the touchscreen for port 2 and somebody's using port 1 with a game controller. Is it more than possible? Maybe you're on an Android tablet, and you can auto hide the touch controls as well. And there's touch gliding, vibrate on press, enable game vibration if you want to. So feel free to check that out. And also overlay opacity controls the transparency level of the touchscreen controller. So yeah, the auto hide touchscreen controller is really cool if you have a game controller connected, so it hides it. That way you have more real estate. If we click back, now we're ready to play. Click the game, boom, it's gonna launch up. I always find that at the start the game can take a little bit of time for it to load, but once it kicks in, it's not too bad at all. So let's click X. Can we skip this? I cannot remember. I've turned the volume down just because it's pretty loud. As you can see, it's already running smooth. In the sort of starting menus, more likely to, but it's still pretty cool that it is running well. Okay, so let's get in the game and let's have a go. If you click the pause button in the top right, it pauses it, and you can do load and save state. So this is fantastic. So if I click, actually I'll show you that momentarily, but you can toggle software renderer. You don't want to really ever do that. You can toggle frame limiter, exit game, you can do patch codes and change disk if you have a multi-disc game, or just press the X and you'll continue. Yeah, let me just, yeah, I can save, because I know that we do have a memory card enabled in there. So save is successful, fantastic. I'm going to go to single player, and if I click the button between the select and the start, which is the analog button, you'll switch it to more of like a D-pad, and I prefer this for racing. And let me go to easy, and I'll go to this level. Doesn't really matter which level it is. Here we go. Obviously, you could disable touchscreen controls, use a controller, rotate your phone into landscape mode and get more real estate and have a bigger screen. But for now, I'll just use the on-screen touch controls. There we go. It is working. As you can see, it is running super smooth, even though I am recording the screen as well. So let me just pause it. Let me pause the emulator, click Save State, click Save Slot 1. And now make sure it is paused. Saved. There we go. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to shut it down, reopen it, reopen the game. So usually if you open the game and don't use a save state, you'll just be going through the whole, menu process and the whole intro process, as you can see, right here. But if I go to pause, go to load state, save slot 1, it resumes exactly where I was, because it dumps, literally the whole memory contents and saves that, which is really cool. So yeah, that is one of the best features that I love about emulators, is the save states. I absolutely love them. And doing terribly here. And it also means if you're in a part of the game where there isn't a built-in, saving mechanism, you can still save it without having to, let's say, complete the whole level. Or like in the original Crash Bandicoot, you had to complete, you had to get to like a bonus level and then save it there. Oh, that was so annoying. At least they fixed it in Crash 2 and 3 and subsequent ones. After each level you could save. Well, maybe, you need to do something. Yeah, that is it. I'm going to pause it, and nothing more to it than that. That's how you set up AestherSX2 on your Android device. Could be phone, could be tablet, could be phablet, could be any device. Newer devices generally do work a lot better. The more powerful the device, the better it is. But this is, much better than the previous emulators that have come, and it works fantastic. Any questions? Feel free to join the Discord group. There's a link in the description, and feel free to post in the AestherSX2 channel. And I'll see you in the next emulation video. Good night and goodbye.